they killed the wounded, and in that moment something inside humanity broke. The battlefield was quiet. Not because peace had come, but because there was nothing left to fight. Smoke drifted slowly across the broken ground. Burned ships lay scattered like dead giants. Weapons were silent. The war was already over. Human soldiers lay injured across the field. Some trying to move, some unable to even lift their heads, some just breathing, waiting for rescue. They believed the enemy would take prisoners. They believed the worst had already passed. They were wrong. The alien forces moved slowly across the battlefield, not rushing, not shouting, just walking, their armor cold, their movements calm, their weapons ready. One of them stopped near a wounded human. The soldier on the ground looked up, weak, his voice low, asking for help. The alien did not answer it, raised its weapon and fired. The sound echoed across the empty field. Then another shot, and another. One by one they moved across the wounded, not checking, not speaking, not hesitating, just ending them slowly, deliberately. The sky above seemed to grow darker, as if even the world itself was watching. Hidden behind broken structures and damaged machines, a few human soldiers remained. They were not strong enough to fight, not fast enough to escape, so they watched. They watched everything, their hands shaking, their breathing heavy, their minds unable to accept what was happening. This was not war. This was something else, something worse. One soldier pressed himself against the ground, his eyes locked on the scene in front of him. His friend lay just a few meters away, injured but alive. The alien approached. The soldier wanted to move, wanted to shout, wanted to do something, but his body would not respond. He watched as the weapon lifted, as the shot fired. As his friend stopped moving, something inside him changed. Not anger, not fear, something deeper, something colder around the battlefield. The same thing was happening. Hidden humans, surviving humans, watching humans, all seeing the same thing, all feeling the same shift. The enemy continued their actions, unaware, unbothered. They believed this was victory. They believed this was control. They believed humans were finished. The last wounded body fell still. The battlefield returned to silence, complete, empty. Final. For a moment, nothing moved. Not the enemy, not the survivors, not even the wind. Then a small sound, not loud, not clear, but different. One of the hidden humans slowly lifted his head. His breathing had changed, slower, deeper, controlled. His hands stopped shaking, his eyes lost something human, something emotional. They became still. Too still. Another human nearby shifted slightly, then another. They did not speak to each other. They did not signal. They did not need to. Something passed between them, without words, something shared. The alien forces continued to move across the battlefield, finishing their task completely unaware. They did not see the change. They did not feel it, but it was there, growing, spreading. The human soldier who had watched his friend die slowly stood up, his movement calm, unnatural, his pain gone, or ignored, his eyes focused, cold. He did not look at the enemy with anger. He looked at them with understanding, as if something had become clear, as if a line had been crossed, a line that could not be returned. Around him, more humans began to rise, one by one, silent, controlled, different. The battlefield was no longer empty. It was waiting. The enemy finally noticed movement. One of them turned, raising its weapon again, but this time, something felt wrong. The human did not react, did not run, did not fear. He simply looked back, and in that moment, the alien hesitated just for a second. But that second was enough, because something had changed, not in the battlefield, not in the war, but in humanity itself, and that change was not going to stop. It was only beginning. The hesitation lasted only a moment, but that moment changed everything. The alien who had raised its weapon felt something unfamiliar, not doubt, something deeper, something that made its movement slow. The human in front of it did not attack, did not run, did not even move. He just stood there, calm, silent, watching, his eyes fixed, empty of emotion, full of something else. The alien fired. The shot moved fast, clean, direct, but the human was no longer there. Not because he moved fast, not because he dodged. He had already stepped aside before the weapon fired, as if he knew, as if he had already seen it happen. The alien froze, its mind trying to process what had just happened. But it was too late. The human was already behind it, close, too close. No sound, no warning, just presence. The alien turned, but its movement was slower, not because of damage, but because something was wrong. Its body did not respond the way it should. The human raised his hand, slow, controlled, and touched the alien lightly. No force, No strike. Just contact. The alien stopped completely. Its weapon lowered, its body frozen, its systems silent, as if something inside it had been turned off. The human stepped away, not rushing, not looking back. The alien collapsed, lifeless. Without a sound, the battlefield remained quiet, but now it was different. The silence was no longer empty. It was filled with movement, slow, controlled, purposeful. More humans had risen one by one from the ground, from behind wreckage. From shadows, their movements the same, calm, precise, unnatural. They did not speak. They did not shout. They did not look at each other. They simply moved as if guided by something shared. The alien forces noticed. Their formation shifted. Weapons raised, orders shouted, but their voices lacked the same confidence because something felt wrong. The humans were not reacting like before. They were not fighting. They were not emotional. They were something else. The first group of aliens advanced, fast, organized, trained. They expected resistance. They expected chaos, but they found none. The humans walked forward to meet them, not rushing, not charging, just walking the distance, closed slowly, and then everything happened at once. One movement, then another. Then many, too fast to follow, too precise to understand. Aliens fell one by one, without noise, without struggle, without time to react. The humans did not stop. They did not hesitate. They moved through the enemy lines like shadows, like something that had already decided the outcome. The alien commanders tried to regroup, tried to give orders, tried to restore control, but it was already gone. Their systems began to fail, not breaking, not damaged, just not responding. As if something else had taken control, the battlefield shifted again, not into chaos, but into order, a different kind of order, one that did not belong to them. The humans spread out their movements, forming patterns surrounding, cutting off, isolating the alien forces, not attacking randomly, but removing them one by one, with perfect timing, perfect control. The alien soldier who had hesitated before tried to retreat, his mind filled with confusion, his body no longer following commands. He turned, running, trying to escape. But he stopped suddenly because a human stood in front of him, silent, waiting. The alien raised his weapon again, but his hands were shaking, his aim unstable, his thoughts broken. The human looked at him, not with anger, not with hate, but with something far worse, understanding. The alien realized something then, too late. This was not revenge. This was not emotion. This was decision. The human stepped forward, slow, controlled, inevitable, and the alien knew there was no escape because this was no longer a battle. This was something final, something absolute, something that had already been decided. And as more aliens fell into silence, one truth spread across the battlefield. Humans were no longer fighting. They were ending the war in their own way. The battlefield no longer felt like a place of war. It felt like something controlled. Every movement, every step, every breath seemed to follow a pattern that no one could see, but everyone could feel. The alien forces were breaking, not from damage, but from confusion. Their weapons still worked, their numbers were still strong, but none of it mattered because they no longer understood what they were facing. The humans did not rush, they did not shout, they did not show emotion. They simply moved slow, when needed, fast when required. Perfect in every action. One alien commander tried to regroup his remaining units. He shouted orders, forcing his soldiers into formation. He believed discipline would restore control. He believed logic would overcome whatever this was. But as he looked ahead, he saw something that made him stop. The humans were no longer scattered. They had formed a line, silent, still watching, waiting, not defensive, not aggressive, just present. The commander gave the order to fire. Hundreds of weapons activated at once. Energy filled the battlefield, bright, violent, destructive, the kind of force that would erase anything in front of it. But when the light faded, the humans were still there, not damaged, not affected. Just standing as if the attack had never happened. The commander felt something inside him collapse. This was impossible. He ordered another attack, stronger, focused, direct. The result was the same. Nothing changed. The humans stepped forward together, one step, then another, their movement slow, measured, unavoidable. The alien soldiers began to step back, their formation, breaking their discipline. Gone, fear spreading through them, real fear, the kind that could not be controlled. One of the humans moved ahead of the others, his presence stronger, more focused. As if he was leading without command, he stopped a short distance from the alien commander. Their eyes met for a brief moment. Everything else disappeared. The noise, the movement, the battlefield gone. Only silence. The commander raised his weapon, but his hand did not fire. His body refused because something inside him knew this would not work. The human tilted his head slightly, a small movement, almost curious. Then he spoke, his voice calm, empty. You crossed the line. The words were simple, but they carried weight. The commander tried to respond, to justify, to explain. But no words came because deep inside, he knew it was true. The human stepped closer. No rush, no threat, just certainty. There are rules, he said. You chose to ignore them. The commander felt the pressure grow. Not physical, but mental. Like something was pressing against his thoughts, forcing him to understand. The human continued. Now you face the result. The words settled, final, unavoidable, around them. The rest of the humans moved again. Not attacking, not yet, just positioning. Closing every path, blocking every escape. The alien soldiers realized it. They were surrounded not by numbers, but by control. Complete control. The human raised his hand slightly, and in that moment every alien weapon powered down all at once. No delay. No resistance. Silence returned, absolute. The commander dropped his weapon, not by choice, but because it no longer mattered. He looked at the human, his fear now clear. What are you? He asked, his voice broken. The human paused, as if considering the answer. Then spoke. We are what happens when mercy ends. The meaning struck harder than any attack, because it explained everything. This was not anger. This was not revenge. This was the absence of mercy. The battlefield remained still. No movement, no sound, just presence. The human stepped past. The commander not even looking back, because the outcome had already been decided behind him. The rest of the humans began to move, and as they did, the final truth became clear. This was not a fight. This was judgment, and there was no appeal. No escape, no second chance. Only the result, and it had already begun. Judgment had already begun. The alien commander stood frozen as the human walked past him. No chains, no weapons, no force. Yet he could not move. His body felt heavy, his thoughts slow, as if something had already decided his place around him. The battlefield shifted again, but there was still no chaos, no loud battle, no desperate fighting, only controlled movement. The humans spread across the field, each step precise, each action silent. They moved between the alien soldiers, not attacking all at once, not rushing, choosing one by one. The alien soldiers tried to react. Some raised their weapons again. Some attempted to run. Some tried to call for support, but nothing worked. Their systems did not respond. Their signals failed. Their movements slowed, as if the space itself was no longer under their control. One soldier fired blindly, his weapon releasing a burst of energy, but before the shot reached its target, it faded, disappearing mid-path like it had never existed. The soldier stared in disbelief, his hand shaking, his mind unable to understand. A human appeared in front of him, no sound, no warning, just there. The soldier stepped back, fear now clear in his eyes. He tried to speak, to ask, to beg, but the human only looked at him, calm, empty. Final, the human lifted his hand slightly, and the soldier felt everything stop, his breath, his thoughts, his movement gone. Then darkness complete across the battlefield, the same pattern repeated. Aliens disappearing, not falling, not breaking, just gone. As if they were never there, the remaining forces began to collapse. Their formations lost their command structure. Gone. Every attempt to resist failed before it even started. The alien commander watched it all, his mind trapped between fear and realization. This was not power. This was control beyond power. He looked around, searching for anything that still made sense, but nothing did. The rules were gone. The logic was gone. Everything he believed about war, about strength, about victory gone. The human who had spoken before stopped again, this time turning slightly, not fully, just enough. The commander felt it. That attention, focused, direct, inescapable. You do not understand, the human said quietly, his voice reaching through the silence. The commander tried to answer, his voice weak. What is this? The human did not respond immediately, as if the answer was not simple, as if it was something that could not be explained easily. Then he spoke. This is balance. The word echoed strange, heavy. The commander shook his head slowly. This is not balance. This is destruction. The human turned fully now, facing him for the first time. Their eyes met clearly, and in those eyes there was no anger, no hatred, only certainty. Destruction is what you chose. The human replied, this is what follows. The commander felt something break inside him. Not just fear, not just doubt, but belief. His belief in control, in superiority, in victory. All gone. He looked at the battlefield one last time. His forces were no longer there. Not defeated. Not captured. Removed completely. The silence returned deep, endless, final. The human stepped closer, standing in front of him. Not threatening. Not aggressive. Just present. You crossed the line, he said again. And now you understand. The commander lowered his head slightly. His strength gone. His resistance gone. There was nothing left to hold on to. What happens now? He asked, his voice barely there. The human paused, then answered, "Now you remember." The words settled into the commander like something permanent, something that would never leave. The human stepped back, turning away, the battlefield already empty, the war already over, but the meaning, the lesson, the fear that would remain. Because what humanity had become in that moment was not something that could be forgotten. It was something that would be remembered across the galaxy forever. Now you remember. The words did not fade. They stayed inside the commander's mind like something carved into his thoughts. The battlefield was empty now. No bodies, no ships, no signs of what had just happened, only silence. But this silence was not calm. It was heavy, full, alive. The commander stood alone, his forces gone, his power gone, his understanding broken. He tried to move slow at first, as if his body no longer belonged to him. Each step felt different, not because of injury, but because something inside him had changed. He was no longer the same. He could feel it, the memory of what he had seen, what he had felt. It would not leave. It could not leave. The sky above shifted slightly, not visibly, not clearly, but enough for him to notice, like something was still watching. Still present. The humans had left, or at least they were no longer visible, but their presence remained deep, unavoidable. The commander looked around again, hoping to find something, anything. A signal, a trace, a survivor. But there was nothing. Complete absence. He activated his communicator, his hand steady now, but his voice quiet, requesting connection to command. The signal went through for a brief moment. There was only static. Then the voice of the high command answered, clear, strong, unchanged purport. The commander paused, his mind searching for words, but there were none that could explain this. No strategy, no data, no logic. Only truth. He spoke slowly. "We are gone." The silence on the other end grew heavy, uncertain. "What do you mean?" the voice asked. The commander closed his eyes for a second, then answered, "They did not defeat us. They removed us." The words felt strange even as he said them, but they were the only ones that fit. The command tried to respond, asking for details, for explanation, for anything that made sense. But the commander could not give it because there was nothing to give, only experience, only realization. He opened his eyes again, looking at the empty battlefield, and for the first time he understood something deeper. This was not about war. This was not about winning. This was about something else, something greater, something final. The communicator remained active, voices asking questions, demanding answers, but they felt distant, unimportant, because none of it mattered anymore. The commander spoke again. His voice, calm, steady, changed to "Not come here." The command paused, confused. Why, they asked. The commander looked up at the sky. That same feeling, still there, watching, waiting, because they are still here. He replied. The words settled into the connection. Quiet, real, unavoidable. The signal remained for a moment, then slowly faded. Not cut, not lost, just gone. Like everything else, the commander lowered his communicator, his hands no longer shaking, his mind no longer searching, because now he understood there was no next move, no next battle, no next plan, only consequence. The wind moved lightly across the empty field, carrying nothing, touching nothing. The silence remained, but it no longer felt like absence. It felt like presence, constant, endless. The commander took one last look around, then turned, walking away from the place, not as a soldier, not as a leader, but as something else. Something that had seen the truth and could never forget it. Behind him, the battlefield stayed empty, untouched, perfect, as if the war had never happened. But far beyond sight, beyond understanding, something remained, watching, recording, deciding. Because this was not the end. It was a message, a warning, and the next time there would be no one left to remember it. There would be no one left to remember it. The commander walked away from the battlefield, but the battlefield did not leave him. Every step he took carried the same weight, the same silence, the same presence. He returned to the command ship. The halls were active again. Systems running, officers moving, everything looked normal, but when they saw him, they stopped, not because of rank, but because something about him had changed. His presence was different, calmer, heavier, as if he carried something unseen. He entered the command room, all eyes on him, waiting for answers, waiting for orders. The high command signal was already active, faces appearing across the display, leaders of fleet, strategists, voices of power, but now their expressions were uncertain. Report, one of them said. The commander stood still, his eyes moving across the room, then to the display. Then he spoke. There will be no war. The room shifted, confusion. Spreading, that is not your decision, another voice replied. The commander did not react. He simply continued, we cannot fight them. Silence followed. Then disagreement, arguments, questions, doubt. The commander listened, but none of it reached him because he already knew they did not understand and they would not. Until it was too late, one of the leaders spoke again. Stronger now, we will send another fleet, larger. Stronger, we will finish this. The commander closed his eyes for a brief moment, then opened them again, slow, controlled. If you do that, he said quietly, there will be nothing left. The words hung in the air. Heavy, ignored orders were already being prepared. New fleets being assembled, weapons being armed, the cycle beginning again. The commander stepped forward, his voice slightly louder. They're still watching. The room fell silent again. Not fully, but enough. One of the officers hesitated, then asked, watching what the commander looked at him direct. Steady us. The answer changed something. Not everything, but enough to create doubt before anyone could speak again. The lights flickered just once, then again. Systems paused, not failing, not breaking, pausing. Every screen in the room shifted, replaced not by data, not by commands, but by darkness. Deep, endless, familiar. The same darkness from before, the same presence. No one moved, no one spoke. The commander did not react because he knew they had returned. A shape formed slowly in the center of the display. Not fully visible, not fully real, but they're watching. The voice came calm, unchanged. You were warned. The words echoed across the room. Every officer frozen, every leader silent. This was no longer a report. This was confirmation. The high command tried to respond, their voices uncertain now. We were only preparing, one of them said. The voice did not change. Preparation leads to action, leads to action. Preparation leads to action, leads to imbalance, leads to correction. The meaning was clear. The commander stepped forward, his voice steady. We will stop. The shape paused, as if observing him, measuring. Then it spoke again. You have learned. But they have not. The room remained silent because it was true. Not everyone understood. Not everyone accepted. The shape moved slightly. Not closer, but deeper, as if spreading. Then the final words came. This is your last moment. The darkness began to fade slowly. Not disappearing, just pulling back until the screens returned. The systems resumed. The lights stabilized, but nothing felt the same. No one spoke. No one moved, because now they all knew this was real. This was final. This was not a threat. This was a decision waiting to happen. The commander looked around the room, at the leaders, at the officers, at the fear in their eyes, and he understood the future had changed forever, because humanity was no longer just a species. It was something else. Something that watched, something that judged, something that decided. And when that decision came, there would be no war, no warning, no second chance, only silence and the end that followed it.